Leadership. Leadership, keeping your gun holstered. So this is the topic that's been on my mind this week. It's been coming up in conversation, which is when leading the team, keeping your gun holstered. So this comes from Navy SEAL, retired Navy SEAL Commander Jocko Willink, and I believe it's in his book, The Dichotomy of Leadership. I believe it's in that one or Extreme Ownership. Talks about keeping your gun holstered. And so when they would be on a Navy SEAL operation, there were certain points where he needed to, as the commander, view the field, view the situation, view the field. And that was what he talked about, is that in the Navy SEAL commander training, that was actually the hardest thing from going from a Navy SEAL to a commander, was keeping the gun holstered during training, during live firefights. And so that's what he talks about. And that's what I've been reminding myself and thinking myself this week, which is what he talks about is when we're looking down the barrel of the gun, all we see is in those sights. And that's great if you're a specific role in the squad, but it's horrible if you're the commander, you're the leader that needs to see the rest of the situation, rest of the field. And I feel like it's such a great reminder with entrepreneurship, and that's what I've been thinking about this week as I've been onboarding 2 new team members, is that it's so easy for me to hop in and do certain things. So easy for me to, put my eyes down the sights. And what happens when we do that? We miss everything else. So I feel like the war analogy just makes it so clear, so defined, whereas in entrepreneurship, it's not as clear, like what we miss, because in wartime, the commander is looking down the sights, down that very narrow pathway, missing everything that's going around. Like, that's pretty obvious, right? But in entrepreneurship, if we look down the pipe and say, get into that task, do the weeds and those things, and maybe we can do it faster, maybe we can do it smoother, whatever, or maybe we can't. Sometimes there's issues we don't expect. But even if everything goes smoothly, we get it down, we just missed that time where we're looking around. And in entrepreneurship, what are those things that we miss? Well, maybe we missed responding to something that would have been more impactful. Maybe we just missed out on having the mental space to recharge the batteries. Maybe we missed out on having the space for that powerful idea to come in. There's all these different things that I feel like are a bit, they're just not as clear as it is in, say, like the wartime example. So that's why I really like this as a reminder, because it's like, it's so obvious over here, bring that over here. And yeah, me missing out on the ideas, the connections, the response, the recharging, all of those things are me missing out on seeing the field. So yeah, thinking about your journey, where you're at this week and leadership wise, where does that show up for you? Where has that been showing up for you in your business, your relationship, your friends, family, your contributions? Where is that showing up where your instinct, your impulse is to dive in and get it done, to pull out your gun, but instead, where can you keep the gun holstered and lead rather than do? Lead rather than execute. And this has also been paired up with the book Who Not How by Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. So it's really just been coming together, because in the commander mode, when there's something to do, we don't think, oh, how am I going to do that? We think about who is the right person for that. And that's been a big reminder for me, because say there's certain roles in the business, and yes, I can get it done, but then there's nobody owning that role. So if any maintenance things comes up, well, we got to do that. There's nobody who lives and breathes that role. Also, maintenance things, troubleshooting is one thing, but also improving, adding layers and layers and layers to whatever that role is. It needs somebody to own it. And that's really where I see this coming together with the commander energy, is that, all right, there's something to do, who, not how, and leading that person to own that role. And then that's really the doing of the commander, is the leading, the developing, the polishing of the people, rather than the execution through our own hands. So topic of the week, leadership, keeping your gun holstered. Think through, where's that showing up this week? What's most prominent? What's most relevant to you right now? And how can we, I say we because, I'm on this together with you. How can we stand in the leadership rather than falling into the execution?